This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right,
it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
It's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, and I am super stoked because on this podcast, I am with the one and only Dr. Joe Merlo, who will be joining us on the Mile High stage live at an altitude of 5,280 feet, as well as globally as we're broadcasting virtually. Dr. Joe has been in the health and wellness industry, professions, serving people for over 20 years. He has one of the largest offices in San Diego for going on 18 years, dedicated to service, caring for people with outrageous, outstanding, high vibration chiropractic adjustments, and also focused on families, and has been him and his wife, 13 years married, 2 kids, and they are just, in my mind, balls of light and love. And so I'm so psyched to be on this podcast with them and have them at Mile High this year. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, Dr. Joe.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me on this podcast and at Mile High. I am so fired up, so excited to share lots of love and light and hope. You know, like I was sharing with you earlier, like this is one of the best times to be alive as a chiropractor because we're part of the transformation. We're part of the evolution, and it's just going to evolve based on our hearts, our spirits, and our souls. So I'm excited to be here with you, buddy. And
that's such a great insight because there's been lots of instability right now, and realize that instability, you have to have growth, you have to have instability. Things can't stay the same, without, things can't grow without them, they're staying the same. They have to be dynamic, and it's an incredible thing to be part of that. Now, I'm curious to getting to know you better. So the people that are watching and listening, whether they're on Apple, iTunes, or Google, or YouTube, wherever they're watching this, let's help them get to know you a little bit. How did you find out or decide that you wanted to be in the healing arts?
Well, the long story short is I was born to a 15-year-old girl in New York City. I was born in Brooklyn. I know you were from that area, but we lived in Queens. And I remember like my mom, I didn't have a dad, because she didn't want to raise me, raise him, and raise herself. So she had to make that executive decision. And I would see how stressed out she was. We lived in the projects of Queens. And I would see, she was in pain. She had headaches. She was sore. She was tired, fatigued. She was going to school full time, taking care of me, and working. And so I would see that my heart just went out to her. I just wanted to love her and serve her. I mean, from the beginning, I just wanted to serve. And so I would have her lay down on the ground, and obviously I didn't know what I was doing, but I would start just pressing in certain areas, and she started to feel better. She seemed like she had more smiles. I mean, maybe it was the love, maybe it was the connection. Maybe I was contacting an 8, and who knows? But I could see it. I could feel it. She could see it. She could feel it. And if you ask her, she said she raised me to be a chiropractor. So it's been a very unique process from the beginning. I know I'm born to serve and to love and to give. So I'm here. My first experience with chiropractic was interesting. I was going to ask that. How did you end up in the chiropractic world? Because healing is one world, but then more specifically, how did you end up in chiropractic? Yeah, well, it was interesting because I was a high-level athlete in football and wrestling, and we were training for state championships, and we were just doing drills and just routine things that we do every day. And I just landed a little bit funny, but I landed on my coccyx, on the edge of my spine, literally. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't move, I was so like upset because I trained so hard for this tournament. And my girlfriend at the time, she said, hey, why don't you go see my dad? I'm like, I'll do anything. And so I went to see him, and the adjustment he did, it was very profound and insightful, and it just felt like it shifted my spine, my nervous system, and my consciousness. And so that was my first adjustment. And then while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, and I was told that, by my student advisor, he said, Joey, you'll result in nothing. You'll end up you barely graduate high school. You either end up in prison or dead. And part of him was right about that, because I was on the wrong track. And, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Hold on. My screen. Well, my screen blank, but that's okay. And so I knew I was on the wrong track. But it wasn't till I was about 17 years old, and I got in a car accident where I rolled down a mountainside, and I rolled 7 or 8 times, and I was in a convertible. And when I woke up, the roll bar was smashed all the way to my head by a boulder. And 2 things happened. Is one, I thought I had died. I thought it was over. I felt this like dark energy envelop me. And then in the next moment, I felt a light, a warmth, and an awakening. And at that moment, I knew I had to do something different. I was about to go into the Marine Corps because I had all this fight and energy and wanted to serve my country. But I decided to go to college, even though I was told I was dumb and would result in nothing. And so my first year of college was horrible. I had like a 1.999 grade point average. And it wasn't until I took my first anatomy class, I fell absolutely in love, and how everything connected, the cells, the tissues, the muscles, the organs, the systems, and the brain. And I was in awe. And so I thought about becoming a physical therapist, a medical doctor, and then a doctor of chiropractic. I decided chiropractic because it was non-invasive, it was natural, it was holistic, and I could serve the whole family. So by the time I got to chiropractic school, it was like I'd been doing it my whole life. So this is what I'm born to do. I mean, chiropractic is my family, and I love every single bit of it.
So how old were you about then when you had your first adjustment?
When I had my first adjustment was 16 years old.
16. So related to that, in taking care of families, does it give you like a special thing? I know it does for me when you see someone bring their kids or family or a teenager relative to thinking back of how that was you. Absolutely.
Like for me, and I have an interesting process of life, because there was times I was in gangs, and in these gangs were people like you and I that wanted to have a family and a community and someone to have their back. And what I realized in these gangs, and when I reflect back, like I can connect with any type of human, whether it's a medical doctor, an attorney, a gang member, and I see people as my family, as my either my spiritual family or my human family, and we're all connected. So I've seen it throughout my lifetime, and now I see it, in HD, in 5 dimensions in my practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what energizes you about serving people in your office?
I see myself as a heart and soul healer, and I had a vision when I was about 19 years old, and I was going through a very, very rough time, and I had a vision that I'm on this planet to pick people up. So that's how I visualize. Like when I wake up, I'm like, who can I pick up? Whether it's my wife, my kids, my team members, or my community and our clients. And so I have that vision, and I literally wake up so grateful. Like 3 things I wake up every morning. I say, I'm so grateful, so blessed, and so ready to serve.
That's awesome. And that's the thing. And like you, I serve people in my office every day. And each day I feel like this is such a great gig. Like, it's such a joy to take care of people and to see their lives change, especially in the current circumstance that we're all living through. I feel like we trained our whole life to be able to take care of people during this circumstance because they have a lot of stresses, a lot of instability, a lot of things that they may not see the world through the same goggles we have, and we're helping them understand or see the world differently and experience and trust life differently. How has it been for you serving people during 2020?
2020 has been incredible. Like California went on a lockdown and all of that, and our office exploded. And it's like a health party in there. And yeah, we're following the rules and the whole social distancing and masks and everything. But people know that our office is their healing home. They know that is their safe place for their mind, their body, and their spirit and their health. So they are so excited to be there. And it's an honor just to be in service during this time.
Yeah. And when you're serving others, you're always doing well.
Yes. I like, my favorite, like energy is that oneness, right? And that connection where there is no time, nothing exists but that moment. And in practice, I feel that every day. And it's one of the most exhilarating things that I've ever experienced in a lifetime.
Now, you've been practicing for a while, just going on 18 years. If you have words of wisdom to share with chiropractors in terms of helping them connect more people with chiropractic and serving more people, what recommendations or words of wisdom would you like to share with them?
Quite a few. I'd say, because
and that's why they should see you at Mile High.
Yes. Because students, they're the future, right? They're the next generation, and I feel like I'm a bridge between the new chiropractors and students and the older chiropractors that have been in practice for 30 or 40 years. So I feel like somehow, some way, this lifetime, I want to unite and create a bridge from the past, the present, and the future. And for chiropractors that are coming in, I'd say the biggest thing would be vision. I have a vision so big and so large and so connected to your heart and your spirit that it's unimaginable. But when you live it, you know it and you love it.
Yes. I find so often chiropractors shrink their vision. They shrink their vision to just their office. And that happens to be usually when they're focused on their needs. And there's a whole world out there of spines distorted beyond the four walls of their office. And having an expansive vision is vital, which is, here we have a lot of the world constricting in 2020. And this is the time where we have to help people expand their vision and expand possibilities. I'm not talking about just chiropractors, I mean humanity, right? Yes. So what excites you? I mean, I know you speak in many different scenarios and different venues and share with chiropractors. What excites you about the opportunity to share with chiropractors from a stage?
Yeah, I'm excited to share with chiropractors, across the globe, because this is a time now more than ever where we need each other. We need to connect and collaborate in ways that we may have never even thought of or done or imagined. But this is our time. This is chiropractic's time to shift and to be, global health leaders. And I can see it. There's that potential. And when you feel that potential right before you give an adjustment and you release it, that's what it feels like right now. And that's what's so exciting. So I'm excited just to share some thoughts and ideas and insights about it.
Yep. Decreased life expression. That's something we, as chiropractors, deal with. How do pain and disease relate to decreased life expression?
The way I see it in my practice is I see people's spirits. I see them as a soul, not as flesh, not as a bone, but I see them as a soul, because the disconnect or dis-ease is in their spirits and their minds. And so what I love to do is connect, yes, their nervous system and their brain and their spine, but also their soul and their mind. Because when they connect on that level, everything else heals, and they reconnect within themselves and in their lives and in everything they do.
Yes, I agree 1,000%. We're gonna pause a second. I have some kind of phone call coming in. Do you hear you or me?
I don't know. Are we paused, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's recording, but we'll edit.
Yeah. Just because it's weird. I can't even see you.
I see you completely fine. So we're
I just kept talking to the camera.
All right. Yeah, I know you perfectly look fine. All right, we're gonna ask that question again because the phone rang. I don't know if it was your phone or my phone, but it was really weird. Yeah. So let me ask that question again, okay? Because it was a beautiful answer. It's exactly how I feel. So I loved it. Okay. So we'll just start from that. So as chiropractors, one of the things that we can refocus on is decreased life expression and how we lift that up. How do pain and disease relate to decreased life expression?
Great question. I see people as a soul, as a spirit. I don't necessarily see only their bodies or their flesh or their spines or their bone. I see them as a soul, and I see them whole and complete. Because what I see is the dis-ease or disconnect is when they're disconnected from their soul or their mind or their heart. So my intention is to connect, their nervous system, yes, and their spine, but also very intricately connected is their mind and their soul. Because when all of that's connected, that's when they fully express themselves, their health, their vitality, and their joy. And that's the juice of chiropractic. That's the bigger picture.
That's very interesting you say it that way. One of my mentors, your mentor, I know as well, I've heard you say that, I'm not sure to what degree, but Arnaud Bernier had a big influence on my life. I know he had an influence on your life and many chiropractors. He had said to once, I heard him in a seminar, I'm going to paraphrase, but something like, there's people getting into the mechanical, the correction mode of chiropractic. There's a correction chiropractor, right? And then there's a wellness chiropractor, but then there's also a soul chiropractor. There's a different level of practice or a different focus in practice. And I didn't mean like you're a religion or a spiritual thing, but like there's a place where you're being corrective versus that, we're wellness and for preventative or something like that. But then there's a whole nother soul level of practice.
Yes. Arnaud was a huge catalyst for my growth and evolution. I remember him coming to Life West on seminar day, and he started showing pictures of the Cafe of Life. We're a Cafe of Life, and just sharing the idea behind it. And I bawled and it almost brings the tears back again. But I bawled because it touched my soul, and I vowed and committed to create a practice like that was focused on soul healing.
Right. And at Mile High, and through the podcast and through the event each year, that's our headset, heart set, mindset as well, is that chiropractors have such an incredible gift. And if we can help more chiropractors get closer to the principle, closer to the heart, soul, and spirit of chiropractic, we impact the lives more. And we know that people often as practitioners, we might get lost in the school education process or, in the business process, that then but there's some voice that led us to receive this calling of being a chiropractor. So, in taking care of people right now, can you share something about how much of a gift or gratitude, how much of a gift it's been to be able to be a chiropractor, and what kind of gratitude you have with that?
Yeah, I have a soul gratitude, and I mean, the other day I had during this times are definitely a trial and tribulation for people and families, and we take care of lots of kids. And this little boy, he's about 8 years old, and he walked in and he gave me an envelope, and in that envelope was a card, and on that envelope it said, Doctor, I mean, and it's in that like that funky kid like writing, and it's like and it's like, Dr. Joe, thank you for being here for my family in these times. So it's like, whoo, that's the juice. I mean, we're here for them, and we need to shine as bright as possible for people that are in the dark, because this is what we do.
I got to tell you, I know California, every state, even every city has handled our circumstances of 2020 differently, right? So Colorado is one of 2 states that actually had an instruction to close their chiropractic offices, which was hard on the chiropractors in Colorado. It was a good 6 weeks that we were not allowed to be in our offices according to governor's orders, right? So, and I know so that the volume of patients seeing was lower, the gratitude was so off the charts. People coming back, people saying, this is the only place our kids get to go is your office, and things like that. I mean, the level of gratitude, and people said, this is for my health, and right now I need this of all the things in my world is coming to your office. Families that said, this is the only place I take my family. I had a little girl say to me, we're grateful to be here because we don't get to go anywhere because of the Corona pirates. That's what she I was like, I'm glad to take care of you despite the Corona pirates.
Yes. No matter what.
Out of the mouths of babes, right?
Yeah.
So what would you share with chiropractors to focus on during 2020 in the remainder of this year?
I'd say to keep refining and defining and uncovering and recovering who they really are as a spirit, and what their mission and their vision and their purpose is. Because regardless of what was going on in the outside world, I was very clear, very grounded, very centered, very focused on my vision. And as long as we could keep our doors open, that vision was going to grow and flourish. So get really clear with who you are, and understand yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and build yourself. Do the work every single day. And everyone's heard of it, but do your hour of power. Like, I wake up every single morning and I meditate, I pray, I do my words of affirmation, I journal, then I play with the kids a little bit, then we do some cardio, some yoga, have a green juice, then get in the shower, and then go to the office. And I just build and build and build, so that way, no matter what, by the time I get into my office, I am full momentum. But the key is to get to know yourself on all levels.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people right now, focus on the main thing and focus on serving. Focus on serving. There are people that need you to serve. Serve is a saying, that phrase, and I'm sure my dad didn't say it first, but I heard it from him first. I'm sure others say it. He said, when there's challenges, you just got to remember, serve your way out of it. So focus on serving through this whole time. Now, being at Mile High, you haven't been at Mile High before. We're so thrilled to have you on stage. I've got to say, what are you excited about sharing?
I'm excited about sharing the big idea for my talk is unification, bringing some unity, to our tribe, our gang, our chiropractic family around the world. I've been talking to a lot of chiropractors around the world, and it's just our time to bring us together. If there's any time, now is the time for us to unite.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we're so excited. At first, we had for Colorado, like all of a sudden, about a couple weeks before the program, you can only have this many people in the room. And we had sold more registrations than that. So I was a little bit, that brought my energy state down. I was like, what do we do? And now I am so thrilled that we said, you know what? We don't restrict, we expand, right? We don't constrict it. We figure how do we energize having the message go to more people. I am so thrilled that we decided to have a virtual version of this, because we have literally, I think, almost every continent have someone attending Mile High. So this is going to be a huge light that shines during this time, which is what chiropractors are supposed to do. So, and I'm really grateful for you being, one of those lights during that.
And I'm grateful for you and Rochelle, like sticking to your vision and stepping into what's possible, especially during this time, because I'm sure it would have been easier to just say, hey, you know what, let's postpone it. Let's put it off. Let's see what happens in the world. And you guys literally stuck to your guns, stood your ground. And I am just so honored to serve our way through this together.
And we're grateful for having you there, and all the speakers. I know everybody feels, and people will probably hear this podcast the day before, the day of Mile High, most likely. All the speakers feel super honored to be able to share during this time. And we're so psyched. The most important part of Mile High is you, the people attending, the people that are attending live, the people attending virtually. You guys are the most important part of it, because we're doing this so you can impact your community and have more people on more tables more often. So keep changing spines and lives and minds with chiropractic. Dr. Joe, we're psyched to have you at Mile High. Everybody, if you're watching this, listen to this, and you haven't reserved for Mile High 2020, pull the trigger now. You're going to want to be there. I mean, you could binge watch Netflix, but it'd be better to be there. So, so thank you so much, Dr. Joe, and we'll see you at Mile High.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you soon. See you next week, or see you tomorrow. Woo!